Well, everybody, it is that time of year. Time for the Stanley Cup playoffs. When you think about the four professional sports in America, the four major ones, baseball, hockey, football, basketball. Football games in the playoffs, very exciting, up in the ante from the regular season. Basketball in the playoffs is still kind of dull. Baseball in the playoffs is still kind of dull. Hockey in the playoffs, every game is grinding, intense, and physical, and it's awesome. You were listening to James Krasnerick here as he hosts Real Steel Sports on Spreaker Web Radio. 8 games and 8 series to start off, and before I go into detail on each ones, I will break down according to Sports Nation who will win each pool. According to Sports Nation, 73% to 27% say the Bruins will beat the Red Wings. 86% predict the Penguins will beat the Blue Jackets. 53% say the Canadiens will top the Lightning. And the Rangers and Flyers are split at 50-50. The Ducks are predicted 85% are predicted the Ducks to beat the Stars. 51% the Kings over the Sharks. 77% the Avalanche over the Wild. And the Blackhawks 68% to 32% over the Blues. Series by series, let's go. First series, Bruins, Red Wings. Bruins, 117 points. President's Trophy featuring Zdeno Chara, one of the favorites for the Norris Trophy for the best defenseman. They come in at 83.9% penalty kill percentage and a goal differential of plus 84. Look at the regular season. Red Wings took 3 of the 4 games and one of them in Boston. For this game, let's put it this way. Iginla's got to step up. Jarome Iginla for the Bruins because he was a non-factor last year in the playoffs for the Penguins. And he has 30 goals and 61 points in Boston's system. So he's a much better season. For the Red Wings, think about it this way. They're very, very young. You look at guys like Riley Sheehan, Danny DeKeyser, Thomas Jurko, and Luke Glending. They got Detroit into the playoffs. Put it this way. They've made it a long way with their young guns. But there is a big problem for both teams. And the Bruins, it's pressure. And the reason why it's pressure is because the way the Bruins match up against the Red Wings, they know they're the big favorites. They know that this is supposed to be their year to get their second cup since 2011. They know that they are the best team in the NHL statistically. And they're going against a team that beat them 3 out of 4 times. That's got to weigh on you knowing that this team has stuck with you and played tough with you. And the Red Wings' problem, though, has been their defense. I mean, other than Nicholas Kronwall, they're very thin. Very thin. I mean, Brendan Smith can play well. I mean, not sure if Jonathan Ericsson can be able to play. And that really does make things really tough for the Bruins. For the Red Wings, I should say. But for the Bruins, I think it's going to be a really tough series. I do however believe, though, they do reverse the regular season misfortunes, and I believe they will beat the Red Wings in 7 games. Iginla, Zdeno Chara, and Tuukka Rask at goalie. That's just a little bit too much, I think, for Red Wings to overcome, particularly being thin on defense. To decide the opponent of the Bruins or the Red Wings will be the first-round series between the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Montreal Canadiens. Just 1 point separated these two teams. Lightning getting 101 and Montreal getting 100. Lightning are a very young hockey team, almost said football team. Good God. And the Canadiens, well, they got some veteran guys. Carey Price won the gold as the goalie for the Canada national team this year. And you look at the players on the Canadiens roster that have been in the playoffs a lot. Such as Carey Price, such as P.K. Subban. But in this series, we'll see how well Steven Stamkos can truly handle things because he's never really been the key guy in a playoff series. Like in 2011 when they went to the Eastern Conference Finals, I know he put up a lot of points and scored some goals, but it was Martin St. Louis, the veteran, alongside Ryan Malone. This time, put it this way. Stamkos is playing, St. Louis is gone, and Ryan Malone's been arrested. Will he be available? Don't know. But we'll have to see how that plays out. However, the Lightning did go and acquire Ryan Callahan. Adds a little bit of grit to this team, and he, the former Rangers captain, has fit in perfectly with the Lightning. And he is so clutch in big moments. I think he's a great fit for this team. But if you had to look at a problem for this team, and it's something that was a problem, it's been a problem all year long, is their special teams. Because they're average in the penalty kill and average in the power play. Middle of the pack in both statistics. However, the Canadians are just the opposite. Whenever it gets 5-on-5, their scoring is abysmal. They were just terrible this year in 5-on-5 scoring. And we'll have to see if the Lightning can take advantage of that with Stamkos and Callahan. But for the most part in this series, I think the Lightning have a really good big advantage, and that is the fact that they have a much better offense. Pardon me for that. Their power play is much better. And if you go ahead and you look at the standings and you look at where these two teams rank in offense, Tampa Bay is 8th in the league with 240 goals scored. Montreal's 215 goals is 21st. Big advantage for Tampa. I think they take this series in 6 games. Now for the Metropolitan Division bracket. My team, the Pittsburgh Penguins, 109 points, one of the best penalty kills in the league, one of the best power plays in the league, taking on the unheralded and clear underdog Columbus Blue Jackets. This is actually not going to be as interesting as a series as people think it could be. And I'll tell you why. Because people were projecting that this series could go 5-6 games. And I do predict it'll go 5, and the Penguins will win it. But in my opinion, the Jackets might actually be lucky to win a game. Because they're very young in the postseason. Very young. They've not been in the postseason very often at all. But in my opinion, this series is about Marc-Andre Fleury. If you look at the last 2 years he's been in the playoffs, the series against Philly and the first 4 games of the series against the Islanders, he's been horrible. And this is his chance to right himself. This is his chance to prove that, I can do this. That, he won a Stanley Cup before. It's his chance to prove that, the last 2 years were flukes, and then he's back on his game. Because he's quietly had one of the better years of his career this year. The thing about it is, the Penguins and the Blue Jackets, Penguins swept them 5-0 this year. And a lot of that was experience for the Blue Jackets not being there, and the fact that Marc-Andre Fleury had another very good year. 39 wins, which is second in the league. And you look at what he did from 08 to 09, the playoffs. He won 30 postseason games. The problem, though, with the Penguins, this year is their defense. And yes, 10th in the league in goals allowed, not bad. But Paul Martin, Rob Scuderi, Brooks Orpik, and Crystal Tang have missed a lot of time this year. The most man games by far any team in the league, they've missed the most man games. And players like Olli Maatta, who have played well, have had to step in. But in my opinion, that's not going to be an issue. Because the Blue Jackets aren't exactly a team with a whole lot of offense. And if you look at where they rank statistically in the league this year in offense, 231 goals, and that's them 13th in the league, going against the Penguins squad that was 6th best, that was tied for 5th best. Yeah, I think the Blue Jackets a little outmatched here. Give me the Penguins in 5 games. And the final Eastern Conference Series, which I think actually is going to be the most compelling one, and is the one that I'm, as a hockey fan, am looking forward to the most, because think about it. You've got the Rangers and the Flyers. Division rivals, hate each other, Not like the Penguins and the Flyers, but still. The Flyers were terrible. They were left for dead to start the year. Fire their coach, and now look where they're at. Now they're taking on a Rangers squad. They got rid of their coach in the last year. And let's put it this way. Philly's got a very good offense, not a very good defense. Rangers have a very good defense, not a very good offense. This is literally a fist fight. This is going to be a black and blue series. No faint of heart players are going to make it out of this one alive. But if I had to list one guy who I think who has struggled for the Rangers this year, is going to break out and have a really good series, it's going to be Martin St. Louis. They traded Ryan Callahan to get his ass. You know, they have Rick Nash, Derek Stepan, Brad Richards, and now also St. Louis. Let's put it this way: I think that they've got a really good chance to put up some goals against this Flyers defense. But I do believe it's going to be a hard-fought series. I look for one area these two teams both have, you know, people talking about. One area that these two teams have where everybody's talking about it, and it's goaltending. And the fact that you can make an argument still that Henrik Lundqvist is still one of the 2 or 3 best goaltenders in this game. I mean, Jonathan Quick's a great goaltender. You look at Carey Price is a great goaltender, Tuukka Rask. But Henrik Lundqvist is still one of the best 2-3 goaltenders in the game. And I think the fact that he is very, very much going to be a factor, and the fact that this year against the Flyers, he stopped 94 of 100 shots, you mean the Rangers in 7. So by that logic, that would deduce that the Bruins would take on the Lightning in the second round, and the Penguins would take on the Rangers. Now moving on to the Western Conference, the Avalanche and the Wild. Avalanche have been damn good at the end of this year. I mean, they won most of their last 2 games, and they played very well down the stretch to steal that title, the division title, away from the Blues. That was incredible. And if you look at it this year, though, the Avalanche are actually the less experienced team when you think about it. The Wild were in the playoffs last year, and I believe they lost that series 4-1 to the Blackhawks, who eventually won the whole shebang. But they're more experienced than the Avalanche are. And you wouldn't normally think of that, but, you know, let's put it this way. The Avalanche have played very well over the last month. They got one of the better defenses in the league with one of the most underrated goaltenders in the league this year. I look for the Avalanche to take this series in 5 games. ESPN is predicting that the Wild will win it in 7. I find it very hard to believe the Minnesota Wild are going to upset the Avalanche in 7 games. I'd be very surprised, considering the fact that the Wild, their penalty kill is not that good. Their power play is not that good. They don't score well. They only scored 1 more goal than they allowed. Yeah, I would have to say right now the Wild and declare underdogs, and the Avalanche have a huge edge. Next series, defending champion Blackhawks, 107 points, plus 47 the goal differential, against the St. Louis Blues, 111 points, plus 57. This, in many people's minds, is probably going to be a matchup that people say, you know, either one of these 2 teams could make a run and win the cup. The Blues with their defense and their goaltending with Ryan Miller, and the Blackhawks, of course, being the defending champion with Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews coming back from injuries. But I look at this. How good are they going to be coming off of injuries? That's the thing. Because they're not going to just come back and play well automatically. I find that hard to believe. Against a Blues team with as good a defense, as physical defense as it has. I think that presents a big problem for the Blackhawks, and the fact that, you know, other than Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews, I know they've got Marian Hossa, but, you know, to put a lot of pressure on the other guys to score, I think is going to be really tough. And the fact that they don't necessarily have the defense to hold teams down. I mean, you look at